finger at me, you don't know why.
Hey, good morning or evening, everybody, or afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Shanth and Jetty. This is Shanth and Jetty Art, and welcome again to another stream. Today I'm working on a sketch for a buddy of mine, as well as working on Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, which is available now on Indiegogo. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of my process when working on this sketch. I don't know how long I'm going to last streaming tonight, but you know, it's one of those things. And it's a busy night. I think there's a lot of people streaming tonight, but I haven't streamed in a few days, I think. Can't actually remember. And I've been working on the book and, you know, just keeping up with work. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time to stream tonight and show a little bit of this process. So for those of you guys who missed out on the book, and I'm sure you'll have a chance to get it with the sequel launch, this piece right here is inspired by a comic book, a brilliant comic by Michael Bancroft called The Lucent. And I'm going to be shipping a piece of artwork to Australia soon, and I wanted to make sure that there was a bonus in there when I ship the package, because that's, you know, that's always fun. So this is just a quick little look at what my process is like when I'm doing this type of sketch, because you guys have seen me draw orangutans and female figures, I'm sure, at certain points, because there's a lot of that in Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, but I don't think I've done a portrait of a female character. Certainly on YouTube, I haven't posted the process of me drawing one, so just wanted to show you a little bit of how I rough those things in. So here you can see I'm using a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. A lot of us use these for inks, but they also work really great for gouache and watercolor because they don't reliquify, they don't bleed, and you can use the pens as kind of like an underdrawing. So you can cover over it if you want to, if it doesn't give you, you know, the drawing doesn't give you everything that you want, or you decide to change things. If you need to, you can paint over it. But for the most part, it works great for a very stable underdrawing. So rather than, you know, kind of have to transfer it and paint, you know, off of a sketch, I like to do the drawing actually on the paper. And this watercolor paper, as you guys know from having seen my ARO orangutan painting, you know fairly well that you know, you can do a lot with the pen and ink with an underdrawing. So here you go. starting to get the look of this character in there. And I'll try to make it, be a little bit more at the proper angle as I build up the hair. But I hope everybody's having a great evening and have been enjoying all the streams. I know I have. I've been working while I've been watching a lot of the streams going on. I was watching Eric Weathers' stream. I was watching John Malin's stream. Then I was watching Michael Bancroft's stream. And, it's been what I've been doing today while I've been working and, on the book. And I just sort of picked up a pen and decided to get this thing where I needed it to be, get it wrapped up. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I've got the package I'm going to be shipping together, so I wanted to make sure I had this in pretty good shape and underway. The thing about working on Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, is, I'll get into a phase where I'm working on it and I'm in the zone, and then there's all the stuff with Indiegogo and promotion and everything like that. And I have to kind of remind myself, that, it's, how do I describe it? I got to remind myself to make sure that I stream, to make sure I'm talking about the project online. I'm, of course, really excited that it's funded, and now we can kind of push on to goals like the 7,500 goal, or 7,500, 7,500 goal. And I'm actually right now, one of the things I put down on that goal was a bookmark, but I've been thinking whether or not I should do a trading card instead of a bookmark. So anybody watching this later who sees this, let me know if you would prefer that be a trading card, because maybe I'll send a poll out, because guys, keep getting the channel out there. If you haven't subscribed, do like and subscribe, because I just crossed whatever the threshold is to get a community section on my YouTube channel. I was telling my wife today, and she's like, what is that? I go, it allows you to do community posts so that I can take polls and all that other kind of stuff. So that's huge. And if I can get to whatever the things are, to where I can get to 1,000, that would be great. Whatever I need to do in terms of hours, and I know you need 1,000 subscriptions. So, that's all the stuff I'm thinking about. But with all that stuff going on, I'll be doing some really, detailed hatching, which you can see here. One of the things I've been working on today is Nosfero coming back from rescuing Laurel and, putting all the detail together in these great sort of Dracula-esque shots, except for in this case, it's a hero rescuing a figure and not Dracula carrying off, some character. You can see how much, detail. These are not huge panels, to be clear, but there's going to be just a tremendous amount of detail in this book to give it, the effect that I want it to have. I want people to read this and feel like they're walking through an old-style Universal horror movie. And so that's the goal that we're on right now with this book. And so it's coming together. But for right now, I'm spending some quality time with Michael Bancroft's character from The Loosened. So that's where I am. And it's funny because, whenever I'm working on a character, there's all these different traits that characters have, and so sometimes I put a little bit of my own style on it, and it's a tricky thing because I had that issue when I was doing an illustration of Cyberfrog. I ran into that where my first pass on the character, Ethan said to me, I should actually, when I can finally show that piece, I want to tell the great story of the first sketch phase, where I sent the sketch off to Ethan, and he goes, yeah, this looks too much like a drawing I've already done of Cyberfrog. And it was it was kind of nerve-wracking to try to create an illustration of Cyberfrog. And, I was trying to keep it together and have it look like the character, but then you have to kind of come up with, your take on it. Ethan wants to see, your take and your version. And so I just sat down and did another sketch. But I think sometimes you have to get that sketch out of your system. The first sketch is not always the best one, so it can be a little bit of a difficult thing when you're doing your first one. So that's kind of one of those things I had to remind myself to do, was to kind of, Ethan reminded me, but I had to remind myself to kind of loosen up and bring whatever I typically do in my work that makes it interesting. And it's a tricky thing to do because particularly with a creator, a piece that you haven't, or a character you haven't drawn a lot of, finding your own angle on it is always a little bit tricky because it's so associated with that one artist. Like, it's hard for me to think about drawing a character like Spawn, for example, without thinking about, for me anyway, Todd McFarlane's version of it, and then how would I do my own. And I think that's one of those things that is a factor when we're doing this stuff. And so drawing this character is a lot of fun. And again, it's like there's the actual version of it, which is the artist's version of it, and then I'm just trying to just do something fun with it and see what I can come up with. There we go. And let's see here. Checking my reference here. And then there we go. And I'm going to have to angle this so that I can see it a little bit more. And let's see here. Go back and grab some pencil here. Turn it sideways. The trickiest thing when I'm doing this stuff is, particularly when I'm doing it for camera, is getting an angle to where I can see it and you can see it. Because otherwise you can get your drawing to warp if you're drawing it on a flat table and not at an angle. So right now it's warping for you, but for me I'm getting a much more straight on view. And I guess I could probably, let me see if this will work without destroying the setup completely. But I guess if I angle it like this, but then when I do that, it's tricky because the camera is in the way of me seeing it. So these are all the fun aspects of doing this work in front of a camera anyway. So let's see here. I have some hair drifting in front of the ear here. And what's great about this character, and one of the things that's kind of fun, is the character, the wind. It's almost like a Kurosawa film or something like that. I would say it's like a Kurosawa film, definitely like early Kurosawa, which is to say Seven Samurai and that kind of thing, and maybe even a little bit of Hidden Fortress in there. That wind, the elements, to me are a part of it. The way that the wind is blowing in the hair, and the environments. Obviously, there's some breathtaking environments, lovingly illustrated in that story. But the character's hair and the way that this character floats and flies, and so to speak, it's got this kind of really great supernatural sort of quality to it that I like. And so when I'm drawing the character, I want to always make sure I'm keeping up with those aspects of it. And of course, when artists draw a character, there's always, to me anyway, there always seems like there's a female figure or a woman that they're thinking of when they're drawing it. And that woman is going to, have a lot of answers for how to interpret the character. And for me, when I'm working off of a drawing, if I don't know who that is, I try to stick to, as much as I can, the things I notice about the drawing. But inevitably you're going to get little elements of somebody else in there that you have in your head. I don't know, whoever, it's so funny, I always imagine, just because this is how I think, I always imagine that when an artist is drawing their idealized female figure, that there's an element of their wife in it. I don't know, maybe it's too much Todd McFarlane, and knowing about his relationship and his marriage with Wanda, his wife of gosh, I don't know how many years, 30 years. That you assume that's the case. And so whatever I paint, whatever I draw, people will always be quick to say, "Oh, that looks like your wife, Lauren." And I'm like, yeah, I guess, I guess everything I paint is kind of going to be inspired by my wife, Lauren. But when I look around this room, I've done some acrylic paintings, and if you go to my website, shanthanjettyart.com, you can actually see portraits I've painted of my wife. That's a very specific thing to me. I've done a painting, I think on there somewhere, of just my wife's eye that's on my Instagram. So that's a very specific thing. And of course, when my wife sees this piece, she's going to say, is that supposed to be like based on me somehow? Because the character has green eyes, which my wife has green eyes. And so, yeah, it's a funny thing how all that stuff works and how it comes together. And, you know, but for me, I mean, I always imagine that's what artists are inspired by. But Michael and his lovely wife, Mel, were the winners of an auction when we launched my book on their channel. And they won a piece of, that was a painting of ARO, AR-15 Gorilla. And I believe the child of the great Mo Biggs, if I'm not mistaken. And so when I did that painting, which I'm going to be sending to the land down under, which is this painting right here, it only seemed fair to me, at least fair in the way that I think, that I also include another painting, because I'm going to be paying the same amount of money either way. And I thought it seemed like it was a crime to have done. I've done a painting of Cyberfrog. I've done a painting, which I can't show, but Michael knows what it looks like. I've done a painting of Cyberfrog. I've done a painting of John Malin's character, which I think is going to be in the, as a piece of fan art in the swimsuit issue of, oh gosh, what is it? Of Graveyard Shift, sorry, the Lily swimsuit issue. And so for those of you guys who haven't seen that, this is what it looks like. It's been posted on my Instagram, but this is a look at that painting. I've painted Dan Frega's character, oh gosh, let me grab him over here. If I could find him. I don't even know where it is. Well, it's in here somewhere. Gosh, I have a lot of paintings going on around me right now. But it just seemed unfair that I was going to send a piece all the way to Australia and I'm not going to have a painting of Michael's character. Of all the characters that I could have paintings of, I felt like I should have his in there too. So, that is what we are doing. And that's what we're going to be working on. And just, like I said, short video tonight. I know that a lot of people are streaming right now. Bless them. And there's a lot of campaigns that are closing out. Hey, Reagan Lodge, how you doing? Okay, excellent. Great, I will take a look at that. Absolutely. What do you call it? But yeah, I mean, it's like, I know there's a lot of people streaming and a lot of stuff going on. And I want to make sure that I at least got a little bit of a video because people are wondering where I am when I'm not streaming, which is usually I'm working on the book and, of course, family stuff and staying busy. Let's see here. There we go. Starting to get there. There we go. Oh, and thank you for the... Oh, yeah, I know. Well, it's funny. I was watching all those streams while I was working. And, yeah, it was great. I mean, I always like when people stream. It's, I mean, again, I feel like I have to... I say that, so I don't want to just be... watching, other people's streams, and I want to make sure I'm doing my bit, too, when streams end, but... that's what I draw to. I typically am drawing to other people's streams. Way back when, and I still do sometimes, but way back when I was watching World Class a lot, and I still do sometimes, it just has a lot to do with what the topics are and what I'm working on at that point, but I used to watch a lot of Jeff Hicks' stuff, and of course, Dion Green, so I used to watch a lot of that stuff back in the Star Wars Last Jedi days. And Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that. And, of course, I am a member of Echo Base Network and love those guys. Watch them all the time. Whenever I get a chance, I watch Echo Base Network. Yeah, just there's a lot of really cool stuff out there to watch. And I think that for me, I just try to make sure I'm doing my bit because... sometimes there are these gaps in streaming, and I just think, okay, I've got to go and put, my stuff out there. And put some videos out there, and I was watching a really great stream with sorry, I was just thinking of something he was talking about today that was cracking me up. But I was watching a great stream with John Malin talking about comic book promotion and things like that. And the thing about it was that he was talking about building up your channel, streaming with other people, and that's something I'm going to definitely be working, on, is getting people, to talk about their work and everything like that. So that's going to be a huge, huge part of what we do. But the main thing I want to make sure I'm doing is just getting more drawing streams out there, because when people want to see this stuff and see the process, I want to make sure I'm doing enough of it. So here we go. I'm going to hit this with some eraser here. Same. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's funny. It's speaking of Rome, yeah, I was watching some cool stuff today on that. But it's, for me, I think the biggest thing that I'm running into has been, just getting, working on the drawings and getting those done, because there's a lot of stuff I want to show people. And then sometimes it's also just I get into a groove drawing, and of course kids, family, all that kind of stuff. So important. There's this Walt Disney quote I really like where it said something like, and he was one of the hardest working people in the world, but it said a man who puts his career or something, or has his career or something at the expense of his family, is got his priorities completely out of whack. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't work crazy hours, but it does mean that whole, that to me anyway, that whole parenting thing is really important, and also the husband thing, being around the family, because that's the whole reason why we do this stuff. At least for me anyway. That's all of it. It's like, obviously, I've been making artwork for as long as I could hold a pen, or pencil, and so it is that is a factor. I always tell people that my relationship with my artwork is, my oldest relationship. It's the one I've had my whole life. I've just been creating work and doing drawings forever. But the it's not the same thing as the whole people thing. And I love people, and well, sometimes. I'm an introvert, so a lot of times I like to just be on my own and doing my work. But you get the idea. I love sharing artwork and drawing, and I love doing comics, and the whole aspect of that is for the audience. So let me see here. I like to flip this thing upside down every now and again. I just realized I'm holding it out of frame. But I like to flip this thing so I can sort of see how it's coming together and what the face of the character is looking like. And that's big, that's a big thing. But there's a lot of really cool stuff going on right now in CG, and there's a lot of really great advice out there. And so I'm going to really be trying to make sure that I'm soaking all of that stuff up and getting the most I can out of my channel, and the most I can out of this really cool opportunity to make work and get it out there. And that's huge part of it. Let's see here. Hold that upside down. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit more like that, just so it can. Yeah, there we go. So that if I hold it upside down, it doesn't move it off frame. All right, there we go. All right, so she's starting to come together just a little bit. All right. Now her nose, the character's actual nose, is a little bit more narrow than what I've got there. And that might be very well something I'm sorting out in the phase where I'm doing more painting. But for right now, that's going to work for what we do. I was looking at a stream with the... let me see if I can get this to work here. I was looking at a stream with the fellas who do how to draw comics, and it was a great stream, actually. I think, was Malin on it today? No, Malin wasn't on it. Everybody was on it. There were a few people. Oh gosh, who was on it? This is killing me. I've seen too many streams today. But I was watching that stream, and one of the things that was interesting to me is, I was looking at the layouts that Clayton was showing, and the thing about it that was kind of cool was seeing how detailed those layouts were, and also just seeing how great of a job that Clayton does with those ears. I mean, ears are really a tricky thing, and there are all of these, little like notes that people have for or tricks that people have for drawing ears. The question mark, and all the different shapes that you can do that will make the process all that much easier. And for me, when I see someone do a really great 3/4 view of a character over the shoulder and get that ear together really nice, it's always impressive to me. And it's almost impossible for me to draw an ear at this angle, or with the paper at this angle. But we'll see. We'll get it good enough for what we need. There we go. Now it's coming together. And so at this phase, whenever I'm working, I will do some preliminary washes of color into it. In terms of, I've already done some around the eyes, because to me the eyes are the most important part. I haven't had to scrap a piece in a while because of difficulty. Because you do that less and less as you get better with traditional media. You just kind of realize, almost anything you can kind of bring back and recover when you get to a certain point. But I usually want to make sure I get the eyes right, because then everything else I can adjust. And if I think the eyes are working, then it puts me in a better spot for, going forward with the piece. So once I get to a point like this, I can start thinking about value and doing light washes of color into it. So this is an example of what the process is like once I've got some initial lines in there. There we go. And what's cool about this phase is that those values that I'm putting in, they'll help pop the face out a little bit more, because they've got a nice little bit of dark in there right around it. And again, just a sketch at this point, that's kind of what we're doing, but it should be something that's fun and that a person gets, and it's exciting to have. Whenever I do these when I do the watercolor sketches for the campaigns, those are obviously a little bit more elaborate, and the ARO one is definitely on the more elaborate phase or part of things, but that's kind of, for me, the fun of it is just getting to put together something that's nice and elegant. And so in this case, with the female figure, I want to make sure that it's attractive and it looks, it's got that kind of great aesthetic that I love, which is a little bit of Art Nouveau, a little bit of Alphonse Mucha, and that whole thing. Although it's interesting, because I've been thinking about this a lot, about the over intellectualizing of the aesthetic process. And I think that sometimes there's so much language that we use to describe the process, and so much of the process is not linguistic. It's just physical. It's just understanding, it's like how your hand moves and how you put together various forms. And so for something like this, I don't know if there's a way to describe this with words. It's more of a, you have to experience it from moving your brush and letting those highlights and all those subtleties shift the way they're going to shift. Because whatever that quality is that we put into a figure, that's haunting or beautiful or elegant. All right, my friend, take care. You've got to really kind of get that depth into it. And that's what I'm after, that's the thing that I'm after, is like, how do I go in and put that richness and that depth into it? And that's what I'm working on, with this, is, getting her beauty into this. And her beauty is I think, again, I know I used this word already, but her beauty has a very haunting quality to it, and depth. I mean, if I was to, it's tough to compare, new creator-owned characters with older characters, because there's something that's fresh about them. But there's, when I think about the elements of Lois Lane that are based on Lauren Bacall, there's a little bit of that visual quality to me here with this character. Is that, and actually, funny enough, Lauren Bacall is my wife's namesake, so maybe it does all come back down around to wives. I don't know. You never know. But I'm a big Lauren Bacall fan, So there is that. Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall are a great couple, and have a great look to them. So here we go. There we are. Starting to come together. Starting to get there. Oh my goodness. Let me check and see here. Checking on the time and checking for reference. These are always the joys. We're getting there piece by piece, guys. So yeah, so this is the biggest thing. Look at all these people popping in here to drop a like. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for coming in here and like bombing the stream. I do appreciate it. Very good of you to do. Hey, just dropping in to say hi. Hey, I appreciate that. I know a lot of people are streaming right now, so get out there and enjoy those streams. I was watching streams before I did this. This is a it's been too long guilt stream. So hail, brother, and have a good one. Thanks for popping in to drop a like. I do appreciate it. I am probably going to be in those streams just as soon as I get a chance. So just putting in a couple of lines and putting in my streaming time for the day so I don't miss too much. But I do appreciate it. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, much love. Let's see here. I'm going to drop in some color here. Yeah, I got some really good people in CG. Always popping in, always just, here to support and back people. And yeah, it's a good scene, and much appreciation for I know that Ethan did a couple of streams today. I feel like he's having the same cold or allergy thing that I've been having all day today, but did a great stream about Gabe today, and it's good to see. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this is for the man. I'm gonna be shipping the ARO Gorilla to Michael Bancroft, so I wanted to throw in an extra little sketch there of his character. So that's what I'm working on. So green eyes, which is something I can definitely appreciate because my wife has green eyes, and then just trying to get that really, great, elegant look that Michael does so incredibly well, in his stuff. Love that stuff. But it's good to see you, Stephen Rockwood. Hope you're having a great day and checking out all the great streams going on. I've been in and out of so many streams today. I mean, not like in them, but in the chats and enjoying them while I draw and paint. Such great stuff going on. It's nice to see. Is Anna streaming right now too? I was just thinking about that. I think I saw a reminder that she's going to be streaming tonight for the calendar, which is already a huge success and doing well. I can't remember if she's streaming tonight or not. I think she streamed. Did she stream earlier today? The days are starting to blur together at this point. When you're in the middle of a campaign, it's, and I've done it twice before, but this is my first CG campaign. It feels like things are going so fast and things are constantly evolving. It's crazy. Oh, nice. Excellent. Oh, totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, getting that work done is everything. Absolutely true. Honest to God, that young lady, and I hope she wouldn't mind me calling her that, by the way, is a amazing oil painter. Love the stuff that she's doing. Actually, I want to do a stream at some point where we talk painting, because I think that'd be a blast. But, I mean, runs on, like, adrenaline, pixie sticks, and just sheer work ethic. Just an amazing person. And I hope, I mean, and also, too, was really touched by the promotion she's doing right now for her former boss, who's a caricature artist, and I know undergoing some pretty tough health stuff right now. Just, just a really cool group of people. I loved the streams that Anna did. Really touched by the stream that she did, the live watch with Cecil of The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. That was a really beautiful stream. But I did love seeing her, Jay, and Cecil down in Universal running around. That was also a ton of fun to see them, out doing that. But just, I mean, doing great oil painting, and, glad to see that, she's having fun and that people are I mean, she's been doing this for ages. I remember watching her streams. I was talking about Jeff Hicks's streams earlier. In the World Class guys. And, Jeff Hicks, and Dion Green, and the gang. And just, I just remember, watching Anna and Anna's evolution as a painter and artist, which she was already incredibly solid, but she's just been doing some great stuff with those eyes. I would love to talk art with her sometime, just because it's so fun to talk to artists. Really does some great stuff, and I love painting eyes too. It's a lot of fun to do, and but oils terrify me. I don't know, like people who work in oils. My studio mate works in oils, and I look at that stuff, and I'm like, oh god, no. It's such a stressful medium for me. I'd rather work in gouache and watercolor. It's just, it's incredibly impressive to me. Like I have an oil painting from my brother from another mother in my house, and he's just an exceptional artist and does really great stuff, and love that dude. And the thing about it is it's like when I see people work in oils and doing glazes and just blending everything in it, it's always been extraordinary for me to watch. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's oh gosh, everybody's coming in. Can't stay midnight here. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, guys, I know it's late, and I know a lot of people are streaming. It's 2 in the morning. Well, almost 2 in the morning here. And yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. But everybody's been putting on really cool streams tonight. So I was like, I'm never going to find a time to stream if I don't just do it. But this will be available tomorrow. I myself am probably going to be passing out soon anyway. But thanks for coming in and dropping a like, guys. I do appreciate it, And yeah, just keep doing what you guys are doing. You've been awesome. Posting the link for Nosfero, the Crypt Walker. The link is in the description. Getting that out there. The more you guys get that out there, the more I see the impact on, how it's doing on its Indiegogo. But great to see you guys. Seriously. I realized I hadn't looked at the camera. Great for seeing you guys. Great for seeing you guys. Grateful to you guys. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Thanks for the likes. And yeah, thanks for checking stuff out. This will be, up, just save this link because sometimes it takes a while for YouTube to put it up there where everybody can see it on my channel. And we'll go from there. Yeah, get sleep, guys. It is important. The whole, as fun as the whole night owl thing is, I do think it's probably better when we get sleep. Or so I've heard. We'll see. But yeah, this is, I love this character. I mean, I love, obviously I love the world that Michael's built, and I love the aesthetic of the book. But it's, yeah, seriously, I'm the same way. It's when things get quiet, like, I've got 2 teenagers, so it's not like my kids are in bed, early anymore, but it's the time I really get to work by myself, and I do prefer that kind of thing, that time period. Oh, excellent. Oh gosh. Okay, wow. So everything I do in video editing and things like that is largely about the sensibility. The tools I use are actually high, wide, and stupid. I don't use a lot of complicated tools. So I use iMovie, and then I use Photoshop. And a lot of the stuff you see me do is frame by frame. And the biggest thing I do is really, and is just the timing of it, you know. And I will probably go in and output things and re-edit them, like shaving seconds off here and there. And I think it's really important, you know, to just kind of look at the timing of it. But really, just iMovie and Photoshop are what I use for title cards and for all the different things I do. But then sometimes I'm just using iMovie for the titles. So yeah, and actually, oh my gosh, my brain is so fried. I apologize. But I think Joe was talking to me about going on his channel and talking about my process of how I do those videos. But I did a video recently. Does anyone in the chat know of the whole Danny meme? One of our favorite ventriloquist dummies. Let me know if you guys know what that is. I'm guessing some of you guys know. But I did a video that I just showed Michael recently, which was No Danny for Old Men, and it was a parody. Yeah, it was a parody of No Country for Old Men dialogue, the coin toss sequence, but using the footage of good old Danny, and it was insane. So yeah, I mean, that's the stuff I'll do, and a lot of it is, you know, just working with really basic software, but putting it together in such a way to where everything you see me doing in my paintings and everything like that, it's the same approach: color theory, design, timing. I'm doing a little bit of, like, you know, manipulating imagery, but that's it. It's really quite simple. Yeah, Danny, that's right. I wish I could find this. Hang on a second. I don't know if I'll be able to do this because I haven't done this stuff in a while. Hang on a second here. It's very, very tough to find here. Where is it? Here. Boy, this goes back. I have got a lot of stuff happening on my desktop. Holy cow, what is all this? Okay, hang on. I've got a few videos going at any given time. Oh, there it is. Hang on. Oh, here we go. I'll see if I can post this in the chat. I doubt I can. It's unlisted, but this is for all of you folks in the chat if this will work. It might not work. I don't know if I can. Can I not post links in my own? Hang on a second here. Do I have to click on this? Let's see if this works. Edit, paste. Did that work? Let's see if that works. I don't know if that's going to work, but let me know in the chat if that works and if that terrifies you and changes your life in any shape, form, or fashion. That's a sneak peek. Only for you guys on the stream right now. Not even a sneak peek. It's just a peek of something I did to make myself laugh and to make Michael laugh. There we go. Yeah, I'm always trying different things out. A lot of it's just timing and having a completely twisted sense of humor. Hey, J-Dog. If you're just getting here, you might want to click that link in the chat, and we'll see if it's the right link to see what my take on Danny is. And I know that you know who Danny is. You know what this is about. That's why it's like a lot of people have to like suddenly dip out to go check that video out. But it's something I made the other day just to crack myself up because I'm always, you know me, like when I'm doing the memes for Ethan, it's so much of it is I'll stare at a piece of video for ages going, what can I make of this? Like with Aaron Lepresti, when I know I've said it before, one of the hardest videos in the world to do because I wanted to do something that Aaron would think was funny and that wouldn't drive him crazy. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, awesome. No worries. But it's the thing about it for me is that, you know, when I'm looking at this stuff and I'm looking at like Aaron or anybody else like that, I'll go, oh, okay, what is it that I can do to make it work? And that's, what can I do that'll be funny and that the person is going to enjoy? And that's the biggest part of it. So I'm like watching with no volume, and I'm, people talking, and I'm going, okay, what does this look like to me? I'll tell you what one of the harder ones was for me was also just to get the lip sync right was Phil Diaz's intro video. The one, the Scarface, blending Scarface with Taxi Driver. It took me forever to figure out because it's not, how do I word it? It's not just about, for me anyway, like Ethan had already come up with the Diaz brothers thing, which is brilliant. That just shows how nerdy we are with our memory of movies. And the trick with that is I was trying to figure out, well, what's a response that I can do to that'll balance out because that's a classic line. And so I'm watching with the volume off. I'm watching Phil Diaz's stream, and he's wearing this shirt, and I'm going, all right, like that kind of works. That's kind of like, obviously Miami and got that kind of, look to it. And it's also got this kind of, not Miami is not the word I'm looking for. Well, when I say Miami, I mean it kind of had this Miami Vice vibe. And so I was looking at that, and I went, all right, what can I do with this? And the thing I finally came up with was, to take Taxi Driver and blend it. And then, of course, I had to lip sync as close as I could get. I mean, it's not perfect, but I wanted to get that to lip sync with, so it looked like it was a funny conversation being had. And the hardest part of that was, again, using Photoshop and frame by framing it to put Phil as the assassin at the end of Scarface. That was a tough part of it, Oh, there you go. Look at you guys. You guys got it all figured out. Hail the chat. Hail CG. Hail the chat. You guys have it all figured out. And honestly, guys, it's so great seeing you here. I know I probably seem a little run down. I think I have whatever the allergy situation is, or cold, or whatever the hell it is, that Ethan has right now. I was laughing because I was listening to him today in his videos, and he sounded as bad as I sounded this morning. And I think a lot of people are feeling it right now. But yeah, it's we got to keep entertaining each other. We got to keep these campaigns going, and we've got to keep the enthusiasm going. That's huge for us. It's generating energy. I'm really excited about what Gabe's got coming. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited to support it and support him. It's a tough thing. I mean, guys, I just, I can, on some levels, I mentioned this to him. I sent him a message today. Oh, terrific. Yes. Oh, it's funny. We just talked about that. Yeah, we were just talking about that here. All right, go do some work, my friend. Yeah, go get it. Absolutely. Thanks for coming in, seriously. Guys, I got to get an intro for Gabe going. And actually, yeah, I was just talking to Gabe on Twitter about that. So I'll be talking to him, and we'll be talking soon. It's great. It's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's a fun time to be making comics. It's a fun time to be in this community. I mean, there have been so many great periods in CG already, which sounds nuts because it feels like it's not that old, but there have been dramatic times, there have been annoying times, there have been, stupid, drama and silliness times. But at the end of the day, the fun thing about it has been just the atmosphere. I mean, where in pop culture can you go to have fun right now and not be bored and lectured? And I mean, there's just not a lot of places. And frankly, all of us everybody I know who is a productive, member of society and working really hard needs a break and needs to have places where they can have fun. And I'm all too happy to do whatever I can do to make sure that my little corner of CG is fun for you guys to come into, and that I'm helping to support other creators, whether it's with intros or fan art. That's what I want to do. That's the fun part of it. And so yeah, that's what I've been working on. Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, Well, seriously, this is not a huge part of it. I've been working to, I know I was just saying this before, but I've been working to people streaming all day today. Like, that's what I've been doing, or all evening. You know, for the first bit is obviously right with the wife and the kids. You're sitting there and you're having those conversations, coming home, you know, from work and having those bits, catching up with how everybody's doing. And then there's the other aspect of it, right, which is, you know, then it's like when you're working and you got to have some streams on so you can put the stuff together. And I think that that's kind of what it is. It's like I feel like I sit with all these people and we're drawing together even though we're not in the same space. It's pretty cool. Oh, cool. Yeah, I was watching Ethan's stream. I don't know if it was the same rant, but yeah, it's rough, guys. I mean, listen, I mean, and I sent him a message to this effect, you know, basically, you know, I was working in education for 18 years, and when you make a decision on principle that you cannot be a part of a situation anymore because of all of the issues that we're dealing with right now, it's a real thing. It's difficult. I mean, I have a wife, I've got kids, like, but that's another reason why you've got to do it. You know? Yeah, good morning, evening, and night. You know, absolutely. It's like Truman Show up in here. But it's you got to look your wife and kids in the face at the end of the day, and you've got to say, am I doing the right thing here? And more importantly, you know, life is so short. How much poison do you want to be responsible for putting out into the world? And I don't mean like poison the way that people use it. I mean legitimately teaching people and promoting to people that it's a hopeless space. It's just not my bag. You know, and I think that Gabe, you know, obviously, like a lot of us, sees Superman and, more importantly, America as being something that is important and that we should be defending. And it's very hard, and I know from experience, being in an environment where people are just shredding it, you know, and gleefully shredding it while, you know, standing on a foundation that they only have because of everyone who's gone before. It's very soul-crushing, you know, to be in that kind of environment and promoting that kind of stuff. It's just, it's not what people want to do with their lives, who know better. So yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It is terrifying, and it's, you know, it's to get to that point. I don't know if terrifying is the word I would use. That's probably a bit extreme. It is definitely takes a lot to get there. So I salute you for doing that, because it is harder. It's harder than I really, you know, God, I mean, again, it's like 18 years. It was what I was doing for 18 years. I love art. I love teaching artwork. I do not love teaching critical race theory. I do not love teaching that different races, you know, are, you know, need to be treated with, you know, disdain. Like, that's not why I got in the game for it. I got in the game for beauty, and I don't understand that. Like, it sucks the life out of you. You know, I don't like that happening to anybody. I don't like putting any group down based on that, because that is what I learned from Martin Luther King and teachings of Gandhi. So why in God's name would I want to be a part of anything like that? So I had a joke when I was teaching. I remember when, and I don't know how long ago this was, but I remember when deplatforming became a thing, when I first heard about deplatforming. I'll never forget it. And I said, this whole concept, and you got to bear in mind, I'm in a very, very progressive, dare I say, is what it'd be called. But I would say just a very left-wing sphere. And people are talking about deplatforming. And I heard that and I went, what does that mean? And people were saying, well, it means that you just don't allow someone to have a platform to speak on. Like, you try to make sure there's nowhere they can go to say things. And I said, tongue-in-cheek, what's next? Are we going to start doing no booking and getting rid of books we don't like the ideas of? And then the whole phenomenon hit. My last year, it got really extreme. People talking about it very casually. Was what's it called? decolonizing your bookshelf. And I remember going, so like getting rid of books is what we're talking about. It was so messed up. And so yeah, I was like, I don't think so. That's not my thing. And you know, I think that it's important for the soul to move towards the light. That's really what it is. Moving towards the light is what it's really about. And there's enough inspiration in this world where we can do that. I mean, guys, it is October. I am excited about, you know, Halloween and this whole season. There's so many things that I love. You know, movies and horror films and great CG comic books and projects. I mean, it's a great time. Yep. Darn right. Oh my gosh, yeah. Absolutely. Have I ever been torn between doing... Wow, that's a really interesting question. Well, I've always been passionate about comics. And I love... It's such a strange thing because most of the things I do are not chosen by me in a sense. Like, I've always been passionate about comics, always been passionate about making artwork, but the painting thing is new. So for me, I actually don't know if I've really ever made a hard choice. I never thought I would be doing painted comics, so I guess that was probably the biggest decision I ever made. I was torn between doing pen and ink comic book work and painting for the longest time, or acrylics and gouache for the longest time. And now I've kind of hit this sort of groove to where I see them as very similar in a weird way. So, like, what's a good way of putting it? Right now, I feel like they're the same thing. It's the best way I could put it. Not in terms of process, but my style has evolved to the point to where it's now doable for me to do comics in it. So now there's no more tension. Because when I'm doing a story in comics, I can adjust my rendering to make it more of an illustration or more of a comic book panel, so I get the best of both worlds right now, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes I'll be working on a panel and I want to do a landscape, and the panel allows for that. Or I can adjust the story to include some of those. And then when I'm doing the sequential storytelling comic book part of it, it's like I feel totally satisfied right now by all the stuff that's going on that I'm able to do. That's a great question. I think that was a shitty answer that I just gave, so apologies for my terrible answer. But yeah, in the past, definitely. In the past, I used to refer to comic books as, you know, this thing that I loved and I've worked in certainly from time to time, and I would just go, it's like, we can't break up, you know. And I think it's because I wasn't ready. I was waiting for my artwork to happen, and that drives everything. It's why my last few did I see Barry Smith's Monsters book? No, I did not, but I want to see it now. Oh wow, my God. You guys are asking me. I feel like I'm not smart enough at this hour to answer some of these questions, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Okay, we'll start with this one. Have you ever been torn between doing illustration comics? Got that one. How do you feel about starting to think sequential narration instead of emotional stills of time? Wow. So the way I would look at that is I'm a film fan first and foremost, and I've always understood cinema and love it. So what it allows me to do is it allows me to instead of doing everything in one big moment, to sort of split those moments and move my camera more. So, for example, the best thing about comics and the best thing about sequential storytelling is I get to show within one page these really great moments in time, like whether it's a hand steadying somebody, so they're flailing in one panel, or they're struggling and the person puts their hand down on them to calm them down, or if it's a person right before they get hit, and then I get to show those moments that are after it, but I change the camera angle ever so slightly. I'm always thinking in I'm always thinking in comics no matter what, and time. Like, comics is how I think. And I heard a really great quote from a sculptor who does realistic universal monsters and horror sculptures. His name is Mike Hill, and he did the creature design for The Shape of Water for Guillermo del Toro. He's done portraits of H.P. Lovecraft, or actually, no, I think that's the other guy. But he's done Boris Karloff Frankenstein, Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein, lifelike sculptures. Oh, he did the Superman and Batman life-size silicone sculptures that Alex Ross has in his house of the Alex Ross paintings. If you've ever seen those, that's Mike Hill. And Mike Hill said he always tries to capture the moment when he's sculpting that's the moment between moments. So it's right before a character's about to say something or turn their head, or right after a character said something. That's how I think about my still illustration. So I'm always thinking about the moments before and after. And with comics, I do a little bit of that when I'm working. So right here, what's the moment that's happening right here for me? For me, I was thinking about her about to bat her eyes. That's what I've been thinking about right here. This is a moment where she's kind of looking through you, and then she's about to break that moment. Or she's looking through somebody. She's taking information in. So I'm thinking about all those story moments, and what I get to do in comics is I get to kind of show and add layers to it. So that probably didn't answer your question, but that's what I had for that one. Sean, did you see the... no, I haven't, but I want to see it now. I bet it's amazing. So one of my studio mate, again, my brother from another mother, Nick, he is friends with Mike Kaluta, and I'm a huge Dave Stevens fan. I'm a huge fan of Barry Windsor Smith's work. Jeffrey Catherine Jones' stuff. Jeff Jones is amazing. So all that stuff is the stuff I grew up on. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, you don't. Jeez. Okay, J-Dog, let me help you with this. Let's talk about how my brain actually works, okay? So the things I love are boxing, movies, love movies, and I don't ever want to really make movies, even though it may sound crazy because I do all those intros for Ethan, but that comes out of my love of film, because I just want to have certain things that I love. But my favorite snack, like when I think about this stuff, like right before I started this stream and get out the gouache and watercolor set, which is again a kid's watercolor gouache set, I'm having my nice bowl of Frankenberry cereal, and that's how I roll. Even though, by the way, Frankenberry was taking some major hits when they were going over the Monster cereal old commercials. Everybody was putting down Frankenberry. I was like, what the hell is going on? It's tough. Like, I respect Ethan, and I respect the people in that stream, but everybody was putting down Frankenberry. And I'm trying not to talk too much politics on this stream, but what the hell was that? Frankenberry's the shit. Period. And I won't have a bad word said about Frankenberry. That's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, I watch, like, as a kid, you know, I would sit in front of the TV and watch VHS or, you know, TV behind-the-scenes features on movies. That was the stuff that I love. And I love listening to artists talk. Like, that's why I love watching, you know, the streams with everybody. Even when we're being silly and crazy. Do you know what I mean? I love that stuff. I grew up on, like, Disney animation and behind the scenes and all that stuff, you know? And when I was a kid, I didn't ever dream that, you know, as big as I'm going to be able to paint or any of this stuff. So this is all alien to me. You know, it's very new to be able to do this kind of stuff and this kind of work. But I want to entertain people. You know, I want people to feel that great feeling of, you know, walking into a really well-made haunted house or a really great creepy movie. And yeah, that's what I live for. And everybody's got their different genre. My genre, and it's so funny because I love boxing, and I've done a lot of illustrations of kaiju stuff. So I'm really excited about Inglorious Rex by Shane Davis. I've got just a huge love of that. I came so close, although it wouldn't have been a according to Hoyle kaiju thing, I don't think. But I came so close to doing a giant King Kong-esque gorilla book, and I still might. I mean, it's not to say I won't, but this was the one where the story presented itself the easiest, which is I just I know what the story is, and I wanted to do a piece. I was talking about this on another stream, and this is sincerely where I'm at with this stuff. Is I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft's work. I know a lot of you guys are fans of H.P. Lovecraft. But one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately is, and I love about Lovecraft, is how descriptive and elegant he is with descriptions of horror and evil, and how there's this wonderful mythology of, evil cosmic nightmares. And I want to include all that stuff in this book, Nosfero the Crypt Walker is all about that stuff. But I want to also include a more complex language for an interesting, like in that fantasy sense, for the divine. Because, my characters, and Nosfero in particular, is, and it's so funny because people were talking about this, and it's not in a way that's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not going to be in a way that is pushing any kind of agenda, because that's not what I'm interested in doing. But Nosfero is going to be a character that has got a very deep connection with God, and who I'm pretty sure I've got the panel idea. I'm trying to think of how to put it out there, but there's going to be a sequence where he's praying, and he's fighting the forces of evil and using things like the old Hammer horror films, like using the cross to ward off evil and that kind of stuff. And to me, it's such an exciting idea, because I haven't seen it in so long. Everything is so darn cynical. However, if you're thinking about the use of that kind of symbol to ward off some eldritch horror monster coming through a doorway, you're going to have to really layer more meaning into it, in terms of layer more world building onto it. Because that's what Lovecraft was able to do so effectively. There's an entire linguistic that we take for granted that's used everywhere. And I want to create things like that, but things that are aspirational, that can go head to head with that. Yep. Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's a huge part of it. Like with this story, I'm giving myself, enough room to tell that introductory story and show people what the world is. And I also want it to be something that, a big part of it was wanting to create things that I actually have equity in and that I can re-release. Like, even though the campaign, if you back the campaign and you get art books 1 and 2, the perk that has my first 2 art books, what you're getting still at this point is you're getting the first printing. So you're getting a very limited edition book when you back the level with the 2 art books and Nosfero the Crypt Walker. So those are all still first printings. However, so I definitely want to do that stuff. The other aspect of it is with this story, I want it to be something that is... There's a sweet spot narratively that I like, where it's resolved, it could continue, and it's fulfilling, but it's also fun, and it's playful, and there's lots of visions that you get in it. So when I think about something like, say, I'm trying not to pick something that's way beyond my pay grade, in my opinion, but when I think about hello, I've got to do my entry for I can't do an Australian accent, though. That's the problem. Hey, look at all these people popping in while I'm yammering on here. Good to see you guys. Corey. Yes, look at all you guys. Nothing more liberating than telling F off. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. I've got so many. You guys don't even know. At some point, Michael, you got to have me on to talk, like, rhetorical tactics that I use for things like that, because they're super fun. And the Toxic Masculinity Show. I mean, come on. I next time you guys do that, I gotta have a call there. But I can't do an Australian accent. This is the problem, right? It's like the Australian. Because my kids are friends with. We do have a friend who's from Australia, and who's a friend of ours, and her husband's American. And then we have another friend, both actually Navy families, whose husband is from New Zealand. So I can do New Zealand a little bit easier than I can do Australia. So whenever I try to do Australia, I'm always trapped in New Zealand. So, as we say in America. So, yeah, we've got, like, I watched a friend of mine who was British do an imitation of an American accent, and it cracked me up. I can do an Indian accent, but Australia's tough because I spend so much time hearing the New Zealand accent that it kind of throws me off. But yeah, this is, okay, so while I've got you in the chat, I have to ask this. Michael, is this character based on your wife? Do you use your wife as reference for this? Because every time I do a painting or illustration, people always say that's what I'm doing. And I find it's true with a lot of guys, but I was just curious if you run into that. And if Mel is the inspiration for this character's look. We'll see. We'll see if that's true. Let's see here. And then the other thing too that's fun about this, and it's one of those things that I learned from watching this oil painter was talking about it, and it's a fun thing to do, is whenever you're painting eyes, and this will go for digital colors as well, you can use it everywhere, and I use it when I'm doing digital work too, but whenever you're painting eyes and flesh tone in general, one of the best tricks in the world is to remember to have, well, and it's not true for every case because there's different kinds of lighting, but to have your cools, not based on Mel, no, okay, there you go. That's right. Is to use warms in your shadows and cools in your highlights. So if I do a zoom on this, oh, very cool. Yeah, God bless our wives, right? It's a good thing. So I'm going to zoom way in on this, just so you guys can see what I mean, and even that's probably not going to be close enough. But one of the really great tricks is to put a nice, really intense warm under that edge on the eyelid, and it will just give it, let's see if I can get the light on it right, it'll give it this little extra kick of believability, and it will show the audience what they're used to seeing, which is that shadow where the light comes through the skin is going to be warm. The same thing happens on ears, the same thing happens on any part of the body. Hands are going to be a lot warmer, a lot redder. And so whenever I'm doing this stuff, I'll go in and I'll try to drop in as many of those warms as I can in the shadows, or I should say underneath the eyes where the light is coming through. And you can do the same thing with the creases, and it just gives it that extra bit of power to it, which makes it fun. And let me see here. Boy, I've got tons of stuff here. My goodness gracious. Look at all this stuff. I've got like all of my Gemini mailers and everything piled around me. My Gemini mailers runneth over. But yeah, I mean, the ginger root hand, I missed all of that. So when I got that, I was like, oh, this is cool. What is this? I didn't know the lore at that point, guys. I'm a shallow person. I ordered that book on the strength of the stunning artwork. So there you go. Sorry, Michael. And if I had known that there was going to be some UV coating and some spot varnish going on, that would have sold me as well. But, God, that's a beautiful book. Really beautiful book. You must be really excited about the sequel, because I would imagine that when you put out something of that caliber and you finally get to appreciate it and hold it in your hand, I mean, I'm sure it feels daunting to maybe think of book 2. I don't know, but I bet it's really inspiring too, to see the quality of it and how well it came out. It came out beautiful. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's... Oh, wow. You guys are very nice. You guys are great. Much appreciation. Yeah, you know what's funny is I think I'm 45 minutes behind mentally. That's where I'm at right now, guys. You know, and I have to tell you this truly. While I've got so many of you guys in here, I am enjoying working away on the book. I am so excited, and I am so grateful for all of the support that I've gotten from Comicsgate, guys. Seriously, it means a lot to us. We were just talking earlier about, and I know I mentioned this on Michael's stream when we were talking about it. You know, it was a very tough decision for me to leave academia and get out of that world. But much like what, you know, Gabe is describing, though, you know, a different sort of excuse me, a different kind of feel. You just, at a certain point, you just feel like you can't, you're moving in the wrong direction. You can't say the things that you're thinking, and that's just too much, you know. And I think that it's like, yeah, The Lucent's an amazing book. It's a great story. Gosh, you're hitting all the right notes. You absolutely have it. Yeah, it is very European. I think of I've just seen some really great European illustrators and artists who've worked in bande dessinée, and Laura Zuccari is one. If you've never seen Laura Zuccari's work, Laura's amazing. She did a book, what's it called? Shoot, I'm blanking on it. But if you look up Laura Zuccari, it's just brilliant. Oh, there you go. Nice. Yeah, it is, and it's the big thing I love about that book, and that I'm shooting for as my big goal with everything I do, is it's a book that you really like having out and around, because it's such a beautiful product, the way that it all came together too. So not only is it a good book with great artwork, it's a really, I guess the best way I can put it is a really nice object to have around. There's certain books that when I see the book, it not only inspires me to want to read them, but I want to have them out where I can see them, because they put me in a good mood. You know, having things that are around you that are aesthetic really does improve, you know, your life. It just does. And I think that's what I love about art, and that's why I think the stuff is so important that we do. You know? And when I look at these characters, it's about creating that kind of moment, you know? Gosh, what was that Mickey Mouse book, the Disney book you were showing the other day on your stream? Holy cow, I've got to get a hold of that thing. That thing looks absolutely incredible. That artist should be doing their own stuff. That artist should be CG. That's what we need. Yeah, that's a gorgeous book. I mean, that's just amazing. Oh, what happened? Let's see here. Oh boy, 3:20 p.m. I think you saw this with Shays. Okay, I feel like I'm missing something there. Okay, I really feel like I'm missing something here. Okay. So somebody's dad has passed away, I'm thinking. I'm not exactly sure what, but yes, absolutely. Keeping them in our prayers, and I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that's the one. Yeah, I've got to grab that book. That's an absolutely fantastic looking book. So let's see if I can get to let this camera focus there. I just realized I wasn't letting it focus. Yeah, I think what ended up happening with this is that ARO was really kind of nervous about flying all the way from the States to Australia. And I was, you know, my attitude was, I cannot do that. You know, you don't think that you know, sometimes, you know, big tree fall hard, you know, and sometimes big characters have really soft spots. I mean, just look at King Kong, for heaven's sake. And so I said, look, I'm going to send you with a lovely young lady who's going to make you feel all the better about the experience. Wow. You guys crack me up. Yeah, I mean, it's... To me, the only times I've found out about art books has been, you know, from other artists. Like, that's usually where I hear about all my stuff. So it's like when people wonder what I'm thinking about, or what's on my mind the most when I'm working on Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, this is what's on my mind. This was my artist hero when I discovered this work in college, is Dave Stevens. Funny enough, a left-hander, a persecuted left-hander, Michael. I was watching the show today. And this is just the best stuff. By the way, yeah, hail John, good to see you. Good to see everybody in the chat. But I look at this stuff, and for me, I shouldn't even be showing this while I'm painting a female figure, but no, I think it's very important to acknowledge your weaknesses. This right here, this is, to me, one of the ultimate art images, is Betty Page from The Rocketeer. Betty from The Rocketeer, we'll say. This panel is one of the all-time great Dave Stevens panels. And when I think about doing brush work, I do hatching in gouache and watercolor in my work. I always think about one of the quintessential Dave Stevens drawings right there. How beautiful is that? I mean, look at the hair. Look at the ink work. I mean, get out of town. That's just some gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. I love Dave Stevens for that. So when I was working on this panel right here I was showing before, you can see that I'm using a fair amount of hatching, but that's just being done in gouache and watercolor. You know, so it's the same thing. You know, it's, to me anyway, it's the Dave Stevens brushwork's always going to be a part of it. Even, I mean, we're talking about some tiny, you know, parts of panels in this book here. I mean, like, this is my hand. That's a fingernail, and that's the size of that werewolf right there. But, you know, when I'm going in and I'm illustrating all of these castles and the cemetery that's sinking in this mire over here, I mean, it's all got to be about getting that detail together as I go and I layer this stuff up. But yeah, that's how the storytelling works. I mean, again, these are super, super small figures that we're looking at right here. Like, take a look at the scale we're talking about. This is like postage stamp territory. And when it's reduced, it's going to be even more detailed. But, you know, it's I mean, certainly not at the Dale Keown level, for God's sake, but that stuff is mind-bending, you know. But that's what it's about. It's about, you know, looking at these characters and getting to know them, and you know, and as I layer in the value, you know, it's just about Danny. That's right. John, did you see the link from earlier in the chat that I posted of the Danny video I made? It's disturbing. I don't advise people to click on that link. Open it in a new window if you so dare, and it will affect you, perhaps, or it will make you laugh, even better. So yeah, these are the things that happen. Michael's already seen it, so he knows it well. Oh man, what would we do without our memes? I don't know, because yeah. They make it fun. They make life fun. So yeah, you gotta disavow Danny. Danny is terrifying. You know what's so funny is, and this is the fun thing about being married, at least for me, not for my wife, poor thing, she has to endure all this stuff. But I showed her the original video, and she was like, she couldn't believe that was ever made and allowed to exist. She was like, this is terrifying. I mean, it really looked like an advertisement for doing drugs more than an advertisement or a promotional video against it. Because that seems to me like it would drive people to drug use. Terrifying video. There we go. And so again, you know, one of the biggest things that I'm always going to be doing when I'm working, that you'll see a lot of artists do, is I'm going to be turning that paper sort of like a you know, as my mentor Brian Stelfreeze used to say, like a potter working on a wheel. You're just kind of like rotating this thing around so that you can get that elegance to the lines. And I've been doing this for so long now, it's become a reflex. But I do want to say this too, though, because a lot of people wonder this. To me, working in Photoshop and working, you know, in traditional, there's no difference. Like, I don't feel more stressed out when I'm working this way than the other way. And if I ever do, I always have to kind of take a step back when I'm working in Photoshop, or I'm working in Illustrator, or working in even in iMovie. It really is just kind of like about, breathing and moving the page and trying to create something that's a little bit elegant. My heroes, I think when I started out drawing, I was so much more nervous because I thought that when there was a graceful line in a Dave Stevens piece or an expressive or explosive line in a Todd McFarlane piece or a Mobius piece had a graceful line, I always thought they were really stressed out when they were doing it, or that you had to be stressed out and have this high level of focus. But the truth is that you have to just practice. A lot of it's repetition, and then that grace becomes effortless. And so for me, that's been the biggest thing, is getting to that point where I've done, so much work to get to the point where I've got the hand skills that I can kind of let it go. Yeah, TV was absolutely insane. Yeah. Oh, no, it was. I mean, you look at some of the concepts for television shows that we used to get greenlit back in the day. I mean, could you even do those things now? Hell no, you couldn't. You can do things that are really depraved, but you can't do things that are really interesting. That's what's bizarre about it. Yes. Seriously, and I'm not even... don't even get me started on Mary Boys. Seriously. Charlie's London. Yeah, everything you're saying, these are all things that I have been watching happen that have inspired me so much. And you better believe when I'm sitting down to do Nosfero, I'm like, I'm bringing my A game and I'm bringing my work in here because, I'm like, I want to be a part of growing this place, growing CG. Like, every time you see more of us coming from different experiences and different backgrounds and different aesthetic styles, every little thing they try to say about Comicsgate to make it this small, narrow thing gets harder and harder to prove. It gets harder and harder to push us into different boxes because we're not one thing. Funny enough, we're a really amazing reflection of what the world is like. And the same thing goes with art forms. Like, the reason why I think manga thrives, the reason why I think bande dessinée thrives, is because there's room for excellence from every background. And I certainly feel that way about when I'm looking at my brothers and sisters in CG. I'm looking at Charlie's London, when I'm looking at, Mary Boys. My God, that stuff is cool. I think I said on a stream that he was on the other day, I think it was on Michael Bancroft's stream, so Michael, let me know if I'm off, but it is late. I saw that stuff and I said, Will Eisner would be so proud that work is being made. And that's one of my highest praise. The hand-lettered type, the playfulness, that's a mastery that you're seeing right there that is just incredible. Love that stuff. Yep. Yeah, Married with Children's crazy. Yeah, like that came out. Like, things were just so much more real. Yeah, and thank you so much for the kind words about including me with such an amazing group of artists. And I would include, oh gosh, yeah, I don't know why all of these amazing talents are being, are let's just say this. Let's profit from their loss. CG is going to benefit so much from the fact that things have become so restrictive. I mean, if academia, and I mean this sincerely, if academia was living up to, and teaching art was living up to what its promise was that it was about to me when I started an 18-year career as a college teacher, I would still be there. Because I love helping people from different backgrounds learn about this thing called art, because you can't take these skills with you. You can't. You take them with you when you die, but you can't leave them to anybody other than through teaching, through shared knowledge. And I committed 18 years of my life to painting classrooms, buying art supplies for people. I would still be there if it was about art and if it was about that. But people decide to make everything about politics. So I will take my art and I will go where people appreciate it. And that's CG. That's what it is. And you guys supporting my book and helping to get the words out, and then seeing that I'm in the company of these people that I admire and respect because they've got skill and they put the time in. Shit, that's all I ever wanted from life. It really is. I'm not a complicated person. If I can, I want to be a good father. I want to be a good husband. I want to be the best person that I can be, but I want to bring stuff that's positive out into the world, and I want to laugh, and I want to be inspired, and that's what CG does. Yep. Absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, seriously, you're right. Oh my gosh, yeah. Anna's got a lot of range. And a lot of rage, perhaps. No, but she's got a lot of range. And, yeah, I like Anna's stuff a lot. And you know what's so funny is, for every, almost every year I taught, whenever students would talk politics in my classroom, I would always ask them what Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States was. And no one could ever answer it, except for one year. I think towards the tail end they got wise to it and they could answer it. But the first couple of years I did it, first decade I did it, people could not answer what Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States concerned, what it was about, what was in it. And the only person who got it in those first 8 years was a Canadian student. I said, wow, a Canadian student knows your Constitution better than you guys do. Good Lord. So yeah, love this country. And that's why all my videos end with made with liberty in the USA. That liberty thing is kind of important, to put it mildly. So yeah, this is the great thing. We can make a very positive, inspiring environment of art and creativity here. It happens all the time, all throughout history. Creators and creative people get together without rules, and they make, or without restrictive bureaucracy, let's call it what it really is. And they make great work, and they change things. And comics has been itching for this since the 90s. It's needed a generation of creators to come along and really open up the art form and grow it. And that's what we're doing. Yeah, hail Canada. That's right. And thank you for, even though I know he was born in California, thank you for Todd McFarlane, Canada. Thank you for Travis Charest. Appreciate those folks. So many amazing talents and artists that we love. And do we have any Canadians in the crowd right now? Because if we do, they'll get this one. Thank you for Stuart McLean. See if anybody gets that one. Oh, there you go. Excellent. So did you catch that reference? Thank you for the Vinyl Cafe. Is that too hokey? Huge part of our family holidays is that David Morley, the Vinyl Cafe. Ah, see, there we go. Nice. Yeah, if you ever want to see, to me, I love that stuff. Yeah, Canadian culture. We're just up in Canada. We went to the, just up in Canada. If you know from the video I have on this channel, we went to the Guillermo del Toro exhibit that was in Toronto a couple of years back. So we had some real fun up there going to that exhibit and seeing all these great works of art, illustration, and horror memorabilia. It was just fantastic. Love that stuff. Let's see here. There we go. So let me rotate this around. And then I'm going to go in and put the shadow in here. Again, I try usually to work perpendicular to the line I'm trying to create so I can do things like that. But in some cases I will cheat and do a pull. And that way we can start to get those, if I can get that in focus, we can start to get all of those nice fine lines in there and that nice detail. That's right, born and raised in San Diego. That's right. San Diego's cool. I hung out in San Diego when I would go to the conventions back then. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have even ever known about Mobius. So, loved San Diego. I know we got some good people in San Diego. We got good people everywhere. It's like there's like, folks, I tell people this is, it's like, you gotta understand, I was born in Houston, Texas. I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I live in Rhode Island. It's like, people I know, everybody I've met, some of my good friends on YouTube from Oklahoma, from all over this country, all over the world. Michael, obviously in Australia. It's a really cool community, and I meet cool people everywhere I go. It's just, you got to find the people who are cool and who are, interested in and actually having a sane conversation. And it really does know no region. Cool people who are interested in sane conversations do not have a home state. They may seem like they're plentiful in some areas over others, but yeah, when most people meet me, they don't believe that I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee originally. So goes to show you. Oh, nice. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I have very little knowledge of Finland, I have to tell you. But large Navy and Marine. Yep. When I was walking around there, because I had my hair really short back then, they actually were asking me if I was Navy, and people were trying to find Kiwi. There you go. Yeah, from New Zealand. Yeah. So you'll get a kick out of this if so my daughter's best friend from the time she was in preschool, her father is from New Zealand. So they're like on my street. So you wouldn't think about that, right? Like, of all the places, I mean, India's a far, larger country with a bigger population. But yeah, my daughter's best friend's dad's from New Zealand. His mother actually just passed away. So that was pretty heartbreaking, because that was kind of his last tie to back home. But yeah, it's crazy. Like daughter's best friend, like all the way up in dance together and everything. Dad is from New Zealand, and yeah, terrific guy. Isn't that funny? The world's a very cool place. It does seem nuts from time to time, and it is absolutely frustrating sometimes. But I gotta tell you, at the end of the day, all of us are a part of that world. And think of all of the positivity and inspiration we give each other. And you guys are helping to make my dreams come true, which is, frankly, not only just funding, Nosfero and making this book and making it the best thing it can be, but when I was a kid going to comic book shops and things like that, I always felt like there was so much inspiration in there. And finding people who care about inspiration, whether they're customers who are buying the stuff, backing the books, or people who are creating the books, those are your people. Those are your kindred spirits. I mean, I don't work on a lot of the entertainment that I consume. Actually, none of the entertainment I consume. Why would you, right? It's your entertainment. But I'm so grateful for the people who create it, because it makes me think, oh, wow, you really, you understand what this whole human experience is like. And I'm not from all of the countries that my favorite creators are from. I'm not from Japan. I love Akira Kurosawa. I like Hayao Miyazaki. Kurosawa's movies affected me deeply, and I love those films. And I'm not from California, but George Lucas is. And that guy changed my life. Steven Spielberg changed my life. So yeah, that's the stuff. That's what I live for, Yeah, I'd love to visit Finland too. Yeah, my wife is in love with that whole area. I don't know if knitwear is big in Finland, but for some reason I love comics. My wife loves knitting, and apparently they're the two most insanely politicized, hobbies right now. It's insane. But yeah, that region is those areas are known for their great knits, apparently. So I'll have to check it out. Oh god, yeah, metal. Oh my gosh, yeah. So do any of you guys know? I think this might be obscure to awful, but do any of you guys know the band Biohazard and their song "Wrong Side of the Tracks"? Do any of you guys know that? Let me know in the chat if anybody knows the song "Wrong Side of the Tracks" by Biohazard. That was my song when I was a kid. Loved that fucking song. It's so good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that stuff. That stuff was it for me. Definitely. Yeah, if you want a glimpse inside of my mind, when I was a kid, yeah, listen to "Wrong Side of the Tracks" by Biohazard. That was like one of those things I had on cassette back in ancient times, and would listen to that shit in my car all the time. Yeah, it's funny the stuff I was into when I was a kid. Like, one of my favorite movies that I just got from the Shout Factory release of it is a movie called Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Do any of you guys know the movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme? God, I love that movie. It's like, I love the opening line of that movie so much. Unfortunately, I have jokingly said that line to my wife a lot, which is, I like the death, I like the misery, I like this world. God, that movie was, that was some bleak stuff, but loved it. Loved the boots with the blade that came out of the front. So, Cyborg and Biohazard, those were some places I lived. Yeah, I loved, seriously. Yeah, it was cheesy goodness. That's absolutely right. It's so, my wife had movies like Breakfast Club. I had Cyborg. Oh, by the way, for those of you guys who watched the intro, if there was a way I could give away a free sketch for this bit of trivia, I would. Like, if I could do it in a just sort of fashion, I would absolutely... Maybe I'd give away a print. I don't know exactly how I would do it. But if anybody knows the start of my stream, where there's a sequence from Leon the Professional, there's a bit of music that is playing to that, the Gary Oldman sequence of my intro. If you can tell me what movie that song was in that I'm referencing, I may have to do a sketch for you. But it's got to be done. And no, don't cheat. Don't use one of those dang apps and go, it told me who it was, and I'm going to find the song. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They absolutely are. Lionheart I loved Lionheart. I watched that with my son recently. I love that. That was my jam. Love that stuff. Oh, yeah. No, I know. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. The He-Man sequel. That was a weird bit of trivia. And you can totally see it in the costumes. When you look at the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I loved Rocky V. That was another movie I loved. But yeah. It's funny, I have a friend of mine who works in storyboards. Good. I'm glad you like it, John. Yeah, that's a creepy puppet. It's hard to make that creepier. So the other thing I was thinking about doing with it for a fun video would be, of course, using the voice of one of my favorite horror characters from my childhood. I even made a fan film of Child's Play. I don't have it, but when I was a kid, loved Chucky, and that thing needs Chucky's voice desperately. The laugh or something. I've got to figure out a way to do that. It'd be too fun. Oh, there you go. It does. It's not, but it absolutely seems, right? It is an 80s song, and it should be from an 80s movie. I saw a funny video that was talking about that movie recently and said, oh, see, I can't give this away. Otherwise, it's too easy. It's too easy. If I say that kind of stuff, I'm giving too much away. Too many clues. But yeah, my friends and I used to watch that movie, as horrendously tacky as it was, and we would quote it all the time. And I still quote it every now and again. Makes me laugh. Yeah, it's such a great movie. It's a bad, terrible, terrible movie. Such a great movie, though. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's a great, awful movie that me and my guy friends would just watch and quote constantly. Constantly quote that movie. I'll do some lines from the movie, see if anybody can get it. We party big, we party here, we party now. That was one. Payback, yes, I think so. Let's see what else there is. I wonder how many people from my generation even know this just from a few quotes. What are some of the other quotes in it? Oh, geez. There we go. Yes. Very true. Yeah. I think I said this on a stream recently, which is, all horror is not political, but all politics is horror. And, yeah, it is. It's just an awful awful thing? Oh, Rad and Thrashing. Woo! Shit, throwing Bones Brigade in there, right? I watched all of those. I used to love those movies. It was one of my many dreams when I was a kid. I had no dexterity or balance whatsoever. I was crap at skateboarding and would have been crap at BMX or any kind of stuff like that. But boy, I wanted a Mongoose bike when I was a kid. I always thought those were so damn cool. Loved Hell Track and all those amazing sequences that were in Rad. I remember that movie, like, that was amazing. Yeah, great sequences. And then I also remembered in the Police Academy flick when they got, all of the guys like Tony Hawk and Steve Caballero and all those guys to do the stunts for that movie. That was a big deal back then. And I gotta tell you, the skateboard deck artwork from that time is so cool. One of my favorite artists on Instagram, artists in life for that matter, is a guy named Jason Edmonston, and he did remastered versions of the skate deck I had when I was a kid, which is the Rob Roscop face skateboard. It had the big gnarly face on it, and I got that skate deck just to look at the art. I thought the art was amazing on it, and skate decks were so cool. I mean, the shitty, magazine ads that you could see the artwork in, it wasn't the same thing. You couldn't even see the detail on it, but I loved skate deck art from that time. Really cool stuff. Brilliant artists. And Jason did some really great work on that remaster that was there. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I mean, VHS tapes, right? Like, how much could they take? Those poor things, they went through a lot. So nobody's got that movie yet, so there you go. I'm going to give you guys the answer soon, so you're running out of time, but that's alright. I feel like people are off researching it frantically, trying to get it in time. It's rough. Apologies. Oh yeah, CG YouTube is, I mean, CG YouTube is what I work to. It's what I paint to. It's listening to people talk about art, talk about culture, makes you feel like the world's a little bit more sane. And then, it's just sitting down and doing intros for people and videos whenever I can. Because, it's like culture is one of those things that you can really strengthen in any group by, if you come at it honestly and if you know the people who are part of it. And so every time we develop things that make us laugh and just become, they're not even like inside jokes, they're just a funny part of being in any group. That's how pop culture, comics, and entertainment has always been, and mainly in comics, it's always been a huge part of it. There we go. Let's see. Oh, nice, cool. There we go. So that is where we are as of right now, gang. So just kind of tightening up the hair and kind of getting a sense, Oh my god, yeah, it's been great. Yeah, I know. I'm going to try to do more streaming just so that when people get a chance, they can just put on a long stream and get into it. Because I think that's important. Like, I do it all the time, and I just always say to myself, well, when I run out of stuff to listen to, I'm like going, what should I be doing right now? Oh, yeah, I should do a stream so that when people get a chance, they get off of work, they can listen to a stream, see some artwork, and chill a little bit, and just listen to this stuff while they're doing whatever they're doing. Because that's what I do. And sometimes you want something you can put on in the background while you work, and maybe it's going to be talking about something interesting. Maybe it's going to get you to remember a movie or a comic book that you were into, or anything, or Thrashing, or Rad. I mean, you name it, it's there. So, guys, here's your movie. Here's your movie that music is from. That movie is from a 1990 film that was made like it was in the 80s called Ski School. Not Ski Patrol, Ski School, starring Dean Cameron. And that movie was on VHS. We used to watch that, and it was on TV. We used to watch it all the time because it just cracked us up. And it is one of the most ridiculous guy movies ever. but it was such a cult classic. For any of you guys who watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they had a whole The Gang Goes to the Slopes that was just a parody of Ski School. It even had Dean Cameron in it as the guy who ran the ski shop. So yeah, Ski School is the name of that movie. I would recommend that you watch it if it wasn't a horrendous movie in so many ways, but maybe that's why you should watch it. So yeah, here we go. So I'm going to be doing some more work on this soon, gang. And I'll show you guys the finished result. Obviously, I'll be mailing the finished result of this. Yeah, that was a great episode, and it just mocked all of the glorious TNA crazy jokes and weird exposition in that movie. But I'll be sending this along with our dear friend ARO to Michael Bancroft very, very soon. As soon as I get this wrapped up, I'm going to have both of these going together and get all the colors together. So guys, thank you so much for checking out the stream. Hail CG, hail the chat. You guys are awesome. And I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to be working on making this the best book possible. Thank you so much for getting the word out. Let me see here, too. Good. Let's see who's in here. Is it... Now, am I pronouncing it... Is it Tommy or Tommy? If I'm pronouncing that right. John, and just let me know in the chat. J-Dog, Stephen Rockwood, Drawn Sword Graphics. God, let's see who else I've missed here. Corey Ransom Art, thank you for being here, guys. Drawn Sword Graphics again. Jay, John, Michael, of course. Stephen Rockwood, there we go. Just make sure I've got everybody in here. If I did not get you in this, let me know, guys, okay? And make sure hopefully I got everybody's name reasonably okay. Jeremy, absolutely, my friend, later. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yes, they read it, still remember. Peace, absolutely. Great to have you here. Guys, let me know in the chat if I missed your name, because I want to make sure I call it out, guys. I appreciate all of you guys being here tonight. It's great. It's what makes all of this so fun, and makes the whole thing feel great, you know. And you guys take care, and you have a great rest of the evening. You guys make this stuff fun. You guys are why Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, is out there. People are hearing about it. They're backing the book. It's because of you guys. And every morning when I wake up and that book moves even a little bit, it's a big deal for us. And we're very, very excited about it. And we're going to make a damn good book. And you're going to get that book. We've got 2 Indiegogo projects we've already shipped. So you can count on us. We're going to get that to you. And thank you guys again for your time. Have a great evening, everybody. Take care. And go check out some more CG streams, right? And yeah, back anything you can. And yeah, have a good one. Absolutely. And I'll see you guys soon. All right? Take care, everybody. Peace. Talk to you later. And I will be around soon, I promise.
Kick off! Ain't got nothing on you!